Hey, everybody. I've been thinking about Christmas presents. And when I think about Christmas, this is something I don't want to do alone. So I have invited Kayla, the garden groomer, to come on. So, hey there, Kayla.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks so much. I mean, our plan here is just talk about like exciting gifts that we're excited to give people. Are you one of those people that starts Christmas shopping early, or are you a late one?
Admittedly, I'm actually a late Christmas giver. I'm sort of a last minute Christmas getter if
Good,
I'm
good news. You
honest.
have a list of gifts available. Now you just
I
got to
do
figure
have
out
a
which.
list though, at least. Yes.
Good. Well, let me go. I'll have you go first because I'd love to hear what kind of things you've been thinking about for gifts. And these are specifically for gardeners, of course, because we love gardens and we love people who love gardens.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I kind of went into this in the frame of mind that these are good gifts for either the experienced gardener or new gardener,
Yeah.
to kind of just keep that nice and broad for folks. And the number one thing I put on my list, which is something that I'm hoping to actually get this year or splurge on myself, is a leather garden tool belt. I am notorious for leaving clippers in random places, putting things down, and then having to just go find a new tool. So if I can have an attractive, kind of cute way of keeping my tools on me and not just in a bucket somewhere, I want one of those really nice leather gardening tool belts where I can stick my clippers, stick my pruners in, maybe a couple flowers, and just kind of keep my tools on me so I don't lose them throughout the garden like I always do.
Have you found a brand that you really are interested in at this point? Or are you still on the hunt?
I'm kind of still on the hunt. I think my only parameter of it right now is just leather. I want that leather, that brown leather tool belt, and adjustable for sure,
Oh,
especially for the winter or the summer when you've got all the different layers of clothes on. And then now you're in shorts, just something that I can adjust depending on the season. But I don't have a specific brand or anything in mind yet.
okay. Good. Well, my first thing is it's one of those gifts that nobody thinks they need until they get one. And so I don't know. Have you ever used waterproof paper or waterproof notebooks before?
No, but I
They're
am a
incredible.
notebook girly. I
Oh,
use
okay.
notebooks like they're going
You
out of
need to look. Okay, the
style.
company that I love is RITE in the Rain. And so they have the pocket size ones. So my dad is notorious for having one in his pocket all the time. So he's always jotting notes, like counting things, or if he needs to get like a bolt and he's drawing on it. And the nice thing is this paper is incredible
I was
because
just gonna
you
say, so the
can,
paper is waterproof?
paper's waterproof and it's tear proof for the most part. I mean, you can tear it, but it's really
Right.
strong, and you could submerge this and it doesn't bleed. It doesn't do anything. You can't use water-based inks though. So you can't use gel pens or like highlighters or Crayola markers,
Okay.
but ballpoint, felt tip, permanent marker, even pencil work great. So
Wait,
we
this
like
is
do all our,
genius. You just blew my mind a little bit, Corey.
it, and I think for like your business or and also like for seed starting, this is great
Oh,
because
perfect.
everybody knows like you're doing your seeds and you set your notes
Everything
down
like that.
and you just spray everywhere. You know, you can't help it. So it's indoor, outdoor, and we use like this is our inventory book. So every year we're keeping our inventory.
Yep.
We have an online version, but when we're out there, we're not going out there with our computers because we got to do it whenever. So
No.
having this as the hard copy, fantastic. And it's just like a normal notebook, and this is nice and durable. They
Yes.
have other products too, so like they have holders and clipboards and like wallety type things that you can get with it. Right in the Rain is primo company for this.
Okay, that's going in my Amazon gift list like right now. I need that. That's amazing. I love that so much. Okay, the next thing on my list, it's kind of a standard thing, but no gardener can have too many of them, is a good pair of hand pruners. I don't know how many times that I've gone out and just bought like the kind of the cheapest ones because I do always lose them. That I'm like, let me just get the cheapest one on the market. But I'm a huge advocate for the FELCO hand pruners. I love FELCO, and a lot of them even come with their own little sheath that you can hook to your belt, which is nice for the ones that lose their tools all the time. But that was kind of the next thing on my list was just, yeah, a good pair of hand pruners. And even if it's an experienced gardener, somebody who's been gardening for decades, they will always take a brand new pair of really good hand pruners, I feel.
And the nice thing about Felcos is they're built to last. Like you can replace all the parts if you need to. So
Yep.
they're even if after 15 years they finally wear out a piece,
Yep.
you can get them done. Another brand that we've used before is like the Corona brand, but
Oh yeah.
that one's pretty good. Felco's really
Yep.
good, and they're little snips, like scissory
Yep.
type
The
ones.
little ones. Yeah, those are
Yep,
good too.
yep.
Yep.
And we've also used Garden Cut is a brand of snips that we've used. It's a
Okay.
really good steel. We've used some of the other ones, and like they just dull so
We break,
quick.
yeah, we dull or we break them. Like the little piece that's between the handle, like always pops out. And
Yeah, be careful of the ones with that little springy thing in there because it
yeah,
it looks like it's sturdy and
gone
it's
in like
done.
two times of using it, just snap them right out. But that's why I love Felcos, and they're a little bit of an investment for a garden tool. And so if I could have multiple of them, it'd be like
Fantastic addition to that belt.
100%. Yes, I'm
Like
filling up that
you're
tool
gonna pick your
belt
belt
one tool
based
at
on
a
where.
time.
Yeah, pick your belt based on where the Felco is going to go. Like that's
Yes, it's genius.
the next thing I'm going to pick is it's really inexpensive. So it's like a great stocking stuffer. And I did not think I would like this, but it's weird. And I got mine on Temu, but they have them on Amazon. They're those potting mats. And they're just these pieces
The
of
ones
tarp.
with the snaps in the corners.
Yeah. So the corner has these snaps.
Everyone needs one of these, houseplant or outdoor.
Yeah, and especially indoors. I mean, it's amazing. So it creates this little shelf. Make sure you get bigger than you think you need, though, because once you do this fold, you've lost a lot of space. I have this little tiny one, and it is like working like this, whereas go bigger. I never thought I would use something as much as I did, like especially in the spring during seed starting season. Yep. I was using it almost every day, and they're really durable. They're easy, and like
super
$4
easy.
to $6.
Yep.
That's great.
They're pretty cheap. They're really cheap. And I actually like using them when we do our container installs for clients. Like if they have a pot and maybe they have like a really pretty patio or like a flagstone patio with grooves and rocks, instead of getting dirt everywhere and then having to like really clean it off, we just put their pot on one of those mats and install it.
Oh yeah.
And then put the pot on the patio and we have like essentially no mess, and it's really nice.
Oh yeah. Cause they are so easy. And I do like the ones with the metal snaps. I've gotten some with the plastic. They work fine. The plastic ones are fine.
Yeah. They can kind of get weak after a while.
Yeah. So if pay the extra 25 cents for the one with the metal buttons.
Yes. You will be thanking yourself. Absolutely. The next thing, actually, I'll piggyback off of that a little bit. I was going to put it on the list and then I didn't, but here we are. So kind of piggybacking off of the keeping things clean thing is like a shrub trimming mat. Some people will use a bed sheet or a tarp, but essentially when you're outside trimming shrubs, there's specific mats that have holes cut out in the middle where you can place it around.
Tree skirt, right?
Kind of like a Christmas tree skirt, like same concept. But they're bigger and they're tarp, and they can even have the snap corners, kind of like that plant mat. But it's really nice if you're trimming shrubs. You can just lay it out underneath, trim your shrub, and then you pull out the tarp, and you have no mess when you're done. And it's really, really nice.
Nothing worse than trimming a shrub like on gravel. And then
I would say river rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh gosh, it's the worst because then you just want to get every tiny little piece out of the rocks, and it's just
and the shop vac is going to suck up your river rock, so that you can't use that.
And I'm not hauling out a vacuum at every single client's house either. So the mats work really well, and if you're on a budget, if we're not doing the gift thing, a bed sheet or like a tarp works as well. But having a specific mat that's good for it, I think would be great for any gardener. I think they'd love to get it.
I'm going a little more expensive for my next one.
Okay, I can do this
on budget.
Okay.
And I got this from my parents a couple years ago. It's the HOSELINK retractable hose.
Oh, it's on my list. You stole it from me.
It is really nice to have. I'm trying to figure out how we can install one at our house. We have two hoses, one in the front of the house, one in the back of the house, and I'm trying to figure out where the best spot to put them would be because
why not both, Corey?
Well, we will, but even like on the front of the house, I'm like, oh, our spigot is in the garage, so I could install it in the garage, or I could kind of attach. It's like true, like it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I'm debating on how the best way to approach it.
Do you have a specific brand that you liked using, or have you found that kind of?
I have not tested all the brands. I have heard everybody's in love with HOSELINK, and that's what my parents have.
Yep.
It seems to be really good, especially everybody that I've talked to said like the retractable part of it is really sturdy. Good. And that's the thing that often causes problems. There's one that I've heard people review, and there's a lot of reviews on YouTube where they're like, oh yeah, you do it and it like shoots back. Stand back, cover your face.
Yes. Make sure you don't get tangled up in the hose when it gets reeled in. Yeah. I've been wanting to get a couple of those around the farm because we just have such kind of an expansive property, and then there's buildings everywhere. So if you have a hose and you need to go kind of around a building, it's annoying. But we do have spigots almost everywhere on the property. So if I can slowly start replacing those with the retractable hoses, It'll make my job so much easier.
And I was a little worried about the water pressure because it is a thinner hose in them. And so at first we were like, oh, can we use them in the greenhouse? But I think for basic use, yes. If you really need like drip irrigation, like you're hooking up to a sprinkler, that type of thing, you might notice a little reduced pressure because it's a thinner hose. That's the only thing. But for home use,
I was gonna say, I think they're gonna be mainly meant for like, I'm using it now to water my stuff and I put it away. I don't know if I would necessarily use it for like a drip situation, because that would just be hoses that are laid out.
Yeah, well, I just know people who have they have a little drip thing at the end of their driveway, so they drag their hose once a week, and they're like, oh yeah, because then it gets the whole bed at one time. I'm not that organized, so.
I'd rather water by hand anyway. It gives me something to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, on the nice days anyway.
Yes, that's true. That's true. We're not getting rain. Oh, I love that. Okay, well, you stole that off my list. That was definitely on my list too. Another one that I'll kind of do is just like a basic gardening tool that I still think every gardener would appreciate having multiple of is a HORI knife. Okay. Are you using those?
I have not used them, but everybody has them, or everybody who has them is like, this is the tool.
I do think they have more use maybe for the outdoor gardener. They're essentially like a digging tool, a knife, and a knife, but like a cutting tool all in one tool. And it's pretty simple. It's just like a little blade and one edge is serrated. Sometimes you can get the ones where the end of them is like a fork, like a prong. So if you're trying to remove plants out of a bed, whether it's your produce garden or pots, they're really nice to get into the soil and you can kind of cut the roots out so your plant pops right out. I do also sometimes use mine as a general pruner. So if I happen to be walking by a shrub that I just want to cut a quick branch off of, I can just like use it as a mini saw and it's really nice. But I love HORI knives and I think every gardener should have one for outdoor gardening. I guess indoor gardening, I don't know if you'd really need it much. It might be a good like removing plants out of a container type of tool, but I mainly use mine outside.
My next one is along the lines of, so we have some neighbors in Ireland who always help us out. They watch the house and stuff. And when their kids were 11 and 13 or something like that, one of the gifts, we always send them gifts at Christmas. One of the gifts we sent them was a pressed flower kit.
That's also on my list, Corey. Yeah.
We are really on the right wavelength.
We're gonna have that was also on my list. Okay, well, I had two different kinds on my list, actually.
See, I don't have a specific brand because when I picked them out, I just picked out what was available. Yep. And so, but it's funny how, I mean, my dad used to press flowers in our dictionary at home, and that was all.
And that's what I've usually done is find a book.
Yeah, and but I think when you give somebody a kit like that, it becomes a project. It becomes something a little more that they're going to do.
Yes, I agree. And I was kind of looking around because I've been wanting to do it too, because we just inherited a huge cut flower garden and the previous owners were so nice to leave all the cut flowers up for us. And so we've been wanting to go through and press them after we're done harvesting seeds. But I saw this other one, which I haven't tried, but it's like a microwavable one. So it takes like the weighting out of the pressed flowers. It's like, it comes in these like multiple layer trays and you put your flowers in there, you pop them in the microwave and then they come out and they're done and they're pressed. You don't have to wait for them to be pressed in a book for so long. So I actually kind of want to get one of those and try it out and see. Some sort of an instant satisfaction girly sometimes. I mean, I garden all summer long, which requires a lot of patience. And so if I'm doing crafting, sometimes I'm like, no, I just want it now. I just want to play with it now.
And like I had given them to my nieces and to these neighbors in Ireland, but as soon as I mentioned it to my sister, she was like, I want that. And she's, I mean, it's one of those things. So it can be for grownups too.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe you can thrift a couple frames and stuff in the gift. So that way you can give them the pressed flower kit and then some frames and cute things to stick those pressed flowers in. So they don't have an excuse to put that on the crafting shelf and maybe not get back to it. They'll kind of use it right away because they'll have the stuff ready to go to put the flowers in. Well, you just took that one right off my list. I'll cross that one off. Okay, this one is for, I would say, the gardener who just always has their hands in gloves or just rough and tumble. I am obsessed with a specific hand cream called No Crack hand cream. Okay. Comes in like a little white tub with a white screw top. And I specifically love the lavender scented one. I'm obsessed with lavender scented anything. But this stuff, I mean, I keep a tub of it in my car. It's in my bathroom. They're probably in my toolkits. But it's just a nice cream that you put on and it's not slimy and gross. You can actually just stick your hands back into gloves and it doesn't feel moist. But it gets rid of all my knuckles always tend to get really cracked. I even have like a little guy here now. Everything just gets, especially in the colder months, and it gets really dry here in the winter. And so I feel like my hands being in gloves all the time, they just get cracked and nasty. And I live by the no crack hand cream. I use it like crack for my hands. I'm constantly using it. I love
addict, I can tell.
Yes. So like I'm kind of an addict about it for sure. And it doesn't freeze either. I love that. I keep it in my car and it doesn't get like hard. So I like even in the middle of the winter, I can still scoop it out and use it, which I find miraculous. And
well, on the topic of protecting your appendages, have you ever used the Farmer's Defense sleeves?
The sleeves, are those good for like UV rays, or are they just good for?
They are for that. They also, like, they're not going to protect you from like thorns and things like that. But like if you're doing like lantana or rudbeckia, those ones that irritate your skin, really good for that. We do have some employees that are sensitive to the sun, and so they just love them. And so yeah, everybody who, because we got our staff.
Those when I'm trimming shrubs, I get really sensitive to evergreen branches and such. That I think, especially when you got your hands in the shrub, kind of trimming it, I feel like those would be really great for them.
Yeah, they have fun colors. They also have like solids and different, kind of things like that. So there's a lot of options there. It's definitely a good gift to give, because people don't usually buy that kind of stuff for themselves.
No, I haven't. So prime example. I love that. Okay, my next one that I have kind of goes with kind of crafting, sort of, but a seed storage organizer or a seed storage binder. They make really cute ones, so it's actually like pretty sitting on your bookshelf, where it literally looks like a little photo album, but the plastic inserts that are in there are the perfect size for seed packets. And so if you're like a seed collector, or maybe you're like me and you're ordering a bunch of seeds over the winter, and then you've just got seed packets floating around in various places, but you need like a centralized place to store them and label them, I would love a good seed packet binder organizer of sorts. I just kind of thought that was like a fun one. And those come in all types of budget ranges. You can find them for like $9, and you can get pretty fancy ones that come with different accessories up to like $50-$60. So it just kind of depends on.
I've seen people who have like each one is its individual container that stacks in there, so they look like CDs. And then I've seen people who just do like random,
all of them,
Rubbermaid type of thing.
Yep. I probably treat mine kind of like encyclopedias, where like every single one is for like a different thing. Like, here's my vegetable seeds, here's my annuals, here's my cut flowers, and just in my herbs, and just kind of separate them all out, because you can get a little out of hand with seed ordering.
I have that same kind of style, and then I have one little folder of them that I mark anxiety, and these are the ones that I'm like, I don't know when I'm supposed to plant these. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these. I don't know if this is gonna work.
I love that so much.
I feel like if I name it, then it's like, it's fine if it gives me stress, because
that's what it's called.
Supposed to.
Yeah. I named it that. Yes. I love that so much.
I have another one that I would say people don't realize that they want it until they get it, and that's the DRAMM watering wand, the One Touch. So I think it's 32 inches or whatever long, and it has just the little flip type thing, so you can hold it in one hand, so you can be deadheading or moving leaves and branches in one hand. It is, we use them in the greenhouses, we use them outside, I have them at home, and you're able to also, with that extended arm or leg or neck, you can stick it like right underneath the plants and get to the roots, so you're not watering leaves and that kind of thing. You're just getting it the water right where it needs to go.
Fancy. I love that. I feel like I need one of those. I actually, on half of my hoses, there's not even hose heads on them. I just open the spigot and lay it on the ground, because I'm usually doing 6 things at once. So that actually makes sense. I love that. Well, next I had the retractable garden hose, but I might as well just check that one off. This is kind of a broad one. Gardening books. Okay. Classic gift. You can find them obviously all over Amazon, but I think this is a good time for you to go to local independent bookstores. And the main reason why I would suggest local bookstores is because oftentimes they're going to have gardening books that are specifically meant for your area. Like, I know here right up the street, we have a cute little bookstore called Beaverdale Books, and they even have an entire wall that is just all Iowa native plant books. So which is, anywhere you are, you should be planting natives, but sometimes it's hard to know where to start and what's a native. But I would say going to any bookstore, go to the gardening section, the plant section, or even the bird section, and finding books for the gardener in your life. I think those you'll never go wrong.
Yeah. Well, and also don't trust when you go like on Amazon and you try to find, like you do a search for Iowa, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just going to
You
find
never
a
know.
random kind of thing. I mean, it might have some really good examples, but also it is not going to do what your local bookstore can do.
No, your local bookstore is going to have pretty much exactly what you're going to need for the local gardener in your life, for sure.
Well, this is fun. I think it's time though for us to take a little break.
Yes.
So maybe we'll spike some eggnog and come back. And
I'm going to go shopping. I'm hopping on Amazon right now. Are you kidding me?
Well, and we're going to continue this conversation over on Kayla's channel. So if you're on YouTube, we'll put somewhere on here a little link. We'll put a link in the description. But what should they search for if they're searching on YouTube? The
Garden Groomer by Kayla, right here.
There you go. So go ahead. We'll continue this conversation. I still have some pretty good things on my list, so I think you probably do too.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm excited. We'll see you soon.